300,000 hectares of land down in Paraguay, located behind the Andes Mountains. By 2000, they had acquired 1.48 million acres of land down in Paraguay and ended up giving some of it back to the government of Paraguay. So you got these guys running to the hills. Let's see here. Okay. I'm going to play this for anybody who hasn't seen it, but the day before 9/11, the day before 9/11, the Pentagon lost $2.3 trillion. Donald Rumsfeld goes before everybody and says, we lost $2.3 trillion. What are we going to do? Well, right here is him telling it.
Pentagon, the day before 9/11, Secretary of Defense Donald Rumsfeld declared war, not on foreign terrorists.
The adversary is closer to home. It's the Pentagon bureaucracy.
He said money wasted by the military poses a serious threat.
In fact, it should be said that it's a matter of life and death.
Rumsfeld promised change, but the next day, the world changed. And in the rush to fund the war on terrorism, the war on waste seems to have been forgotten.
My 03 budget calls for more than $48 billion in new defense spending.
More money for the Pentagon when its own auditors admit the military cannot account for 25% of what it already spends.
According to some estimates, we cannot track $2.3 trillion in transactions.
2.3 trillion with a T. That's $8,000 for every man, woman, and child in America.
I'm not going to get into the rest of that. You can watch the whole video later. But anyway, they lost 2.3 trillion, which some experts actually believe it's closer to 4.9 trillion that they've lost. They just up and vanished. So you got Donald Rumsfeld admitting that they misplaced that much money the day before 9/11. That's no accident that they decided to announce it the day before 9/11. Why would they announce that though? Why didn't they just keep it to themselves? That's something you all have to figure out on your own. They announced it for some reason, obviously. Let's see here. Pretty much everybody knows, that 9/11 wasn't exactly what we were told. That's a whole different conspiracy in itself. Right here is the Open Civil Engineers Journal, peer-reviewed accepted paper that showed that there were high nano explosives put in the World Trade Centers. Basically, I personally, this is my own personal belief, I believe that this was just a diversion. 9/11 was a diversion to keep us all busy. Let's see here. It also justifies invasion of Afghanistan to build a gigantic pipeline. Right here is the... Now what's interesting about this, now check this out, this is from the congressional records. 3 years, 8 months before the invasion of Afghanistan, you've got the only other possible route is across Afghanistan, which has, of course, its own unique challenges. The country has been involved in a bitter warfare for almost 2 decades and is still divided by civil war. From the outset, we have made it clear, and the construction of the pipeline we have proposed across Afghanistan could not begin until a recognized government is in place and has the confidence of governance lenders in our company. So basically, 3 years before 9/11, they already have a proposed plan for a pipeline across Afghanistan. So, you got that. Where was it? Okay, then the anthrax, which kind of got buried.
Yeah.
That's FBI had previously prevented the scientists involved from speaking publicly. This is right out of the New Scientist. These show that the FBI traced the spores used in the attacks to a single flash to a U.S. government lab, but they don't explain why they made Ivins, who worked at the base, the prime suspect. So the spores were traced back to a U.S. lab.
Didn't he commit suicide?
He did. Let's see
Okay.
here.
Suicide.
Okay, then we invade Afghanistan.
Suicided himself.
Yeah, he's suicide.
Okay, so October 1st, 2002, the United States establishes the Northern Command, which is now in control of the entire military. Okay, it's in, you see right here, October 1st, provide command and control of Department of Defense, Homeland Defense efforts to coordinate defense support of civil authorities. Now keep in mind that this was built in Colorado Springs. Okay, so they basically relocated the head of the military to Colorado Springs. Obviously, we're all familiar with the Patriot Act, which was signed into law and probably written well before the fact. Claiming weapons of mass destruction, the United States and UK invade Iraq. We end up building the world's largest military base there. Here's the article on it. Let's see here. 9/11/2003, I just put these in here, I don't know the connection, but 9/11/2003, the Swedish foreign minister who had criticized Israel's dealings with Palestine, she ended up getting stabbed to death. On September 11th the next year, Patriarch Peter VII of Alexandria and a bunch of other high up religious figures, they died in a helicopter wreck that was still unexplained today.
Oh.
Let's see here. So Hurricane Katrina strikes, and basically the National Guard, what did they do during the time? They practiced. Here's two videos y'all can watch later. These are pretty long, but this is videos of what was actually going on down there. This top one's Fox News, and the bottom.
And tonight, with their babies and their elderly.
Showing how that they went door to door and confiscated people's guns. Like this old lady here, they tackled her and beat her up and stole her gun. Here on Fox News, they show you that here they have all these people locked up in these big camps, and there's food right on the other side, and they won't let anybody get to it. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous when you see this stuff. So they were practicing detaining people more than anything. That was their main practice. There was detention of people. All right, so okay, May 6, 2005, the CIA relocates to Denver. As soon as it wants to open, here they will. Right out of the Washington Post, the CIA plans to relocate its headquarters and domestic division, which is responsible for operations and recruitment of the United States, from CIA's Langley headquarters to Denver. A lot of the other CIA veterans said such a relocation would make no sense whatsoever, given Denver's relative distance from the major corporate centers. Why would you go so far away, one asked? They will get disconnected from everybody. And it's unclear how a move to Denver would increase the effectiveness of the domestic division's operations. Colorado has become a major intelligence hub since September 11, 2001. The Denver suburb of Aurora is home to a little-known aerospace data facility located inside Buckley Air Force Base. It's also about 70 miles away. You have Northern Command at the Peterson Air Force Base, and could not be learned whether the CIA's Denver plans are linked to the presence of either facility. I guess they really didn't decide to look too hard.
Was not the CIA's headquarters previously in the Trade Center somewhere?
No. It was in Virginia. It was what was in the Trade Center was in Building 7, was just an operations place.
Isn't that also where the big database is? That gigantic, incredible.
Yes, you're right. There is
all
a
the information in
gigantic
the world?
computer database and data storage center. There's
Unbelievable.
also
Genetics and
a water treatment and contamination facility that's built underground, the country's biggest. That's in Denver also. So basically they're preparing for something in Denver. Let's see here. Okay, the EPA starts closing down its library network. People are upset about this because a lot of scientists use the EPA. Here's the article. Use the EPA libraries for a lot of reasons, and they haven't been able to get access to them because they've been closing them down without explanation. June 6, 2006. Now, what's interesting about this, on Wikipedia, when I first did this presentation, the date was 666. Since then, I've gone back and they've changed it to 619 for some reason. I guess they didn't want to be so obvious about it. But they built the Solar Global Seed Bank, which basically is a gigantic, can hold billions of seeds, and it was the Global Crop Diversity Trust, which is Rockefeller. The primary funding came from Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, United Kingdom, Norway, Australia, Switzerland, and Sweden. Let's see here, and also while the popular press has emphasized its possible utility in the event of a major regional or global catastrophe, the bank owns the building, so Rockefeller probably is the owner of the building.
AIG's probably got it insured.
Yeah.
Right.
So as of when this article was written a year or so ago, there were 20 million seeds, and now they've been rushing for the last 6 months to get as many in there as they possibly can. So there's your global doomsday seed vault. In October 2006, George Bush buys 98,000 acres of land down in Paraguay. It had everybody up in arms down in Paraguay, like, why is this dictator coming to our country? So that's right out of the